And that seems to be two questions. The first one is the question of what is a good way of dying. And it seems to me not clear from the outset that the only way of a good death is to live until the old age, and then you die at age 95 in the midst of your family, and that's the only way of a good death, a fulfilled life. It seems to me that another way of a good death might probably be that in the fullness of your life, when you have the maximum capacity physically and mentally, you die all of a sudden. There is no suffering. You don't have the experience of a gradual decline, of loss, of losing many people around you. All of those are experiences that you would have in the case you died at the age of 98. So I think the length is really not important. But there are obviously cases in which dying is something very cruel and, in a sense, senseless or meaningless. These are the cases of somebody who dies with a prolonged period of suffering and torment and agony, regardless of age. And then we ask the question, which is, of course, the classical question and the most profound question that any atheist could ask a theist: how can a good God allow for this to happen, that somebody dies in this prolonged process of suffering and agony? To me, philosophically speaking, still the best answer is a so-called free will defense, that ultimately God sets his creation free, and it's the freedom. The freedom is the price, the suffering is the price we have to pay for freedom. Let's take like the physical reasons for suffering, diseases, for example, bacteria and so on. If God doesn't want to create a divine puppet show where he creates the world right the way he wants it, there's no process, no evolution or development, right at the end, just the human beings and nothing else, or very little else in terms of historical development, then of course this might be a nicer world for us, an evolutionary world in which there are many bacteria and viruses, and that has developed over hundreds of millions of years with errors and going this way and that way and failure. That is a universe which is truly free in its self-development. And this kind of self-development, the price for this actually is physical suffering. Evolution devours its children. Billions of animals die and get eaten. Lots of suffering in evolution. But evolution is the only way to have a creation that is not a divine puppet show. It's really something that develops itself. And you can apply this very thought also to human beings. If God loves us and he wants to be loved by us, we have to be free, because the only way to love somebody is to freely love the other person. But if he gives us freedom, then he also gives us the opportunity to do evil things. So the moral evil caused, like crimes, murder, up all the way to Auschwitz, is caused by human freedom. But again, if God doesn't want a divine puppet show, puppet on the strings, where he pulls all the strings, if he wants freedom, then he has to allow for the possibility that we choose what is morally evil.